Today on this special episode, the real-life true stories of the characters and events depicted in GTA 6's trailer. From the Miami Joker and alligators walking into stores, to a nude gardener and a racist hammer-wielding Karen, it turns out that GTA 6's trailer was not too far off from reality.
Get the f out of this neighborhood.
Case in point, in the trailer there was a scantily clad black woman twerking on top of a car. In real life, that actually did happen back in 2017, but it was actually more dangerous since the car was going down the freeway at high speed. The incident took place on MacArthur Causeway in Miami during spring break. The woman was never identified, and Florida Highway Patrol said that there was no record of such incident. It turns out that this incident has occurred many times in Florida.
A wild Friday night on South Beach, from women dancing on top of a cop car.
Alligators in Florida don't just go into lakes to cool off, but they'll take a dip in swimming pools as well. In April 2019, a mother named Santa Evans, who lived in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, went to her backyard just after sunrise. Normally at this time she lets out her 2 dogs, but this time things were different. While scanning her yard, she noticed a massive 9-foot, 300-pound alligator in her pool.
I was like, Mike, there's a gator in the pool!
Her family had just used the pool the day prior. Startled, Santa and her husband Mike called Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, who then sent a lone trapper. According to Mike, the trapper did not expect the gator to be as big as it was, since he initially brought equipment for a 6-foot gator. Eventually though, after 20 minutes, the trapper was able to pull the gator out, just like in the GTA 6 trailer. Mike said that he showed other parents at his kid's bus stop what happened, and soon a caravan full of kids followed him back home to see the gator for themselves. A neighbor even helped lift the beast into the back of a pickup to relocate it to a farm. It was speculated that the gator may have come under a chain link fence that surrounded the backyard. As it turns out though, gators don't even need to go under fences, since the man-eating beast can actually scale fences.
Oh, watch this.
It's not just swimming pools you have to watch out for. Gators can also be lurking around stores as well. In GTA 6's trailer, an alligator can be seen walking into a convenience store, and in real life, something similar happened. Shortly after midnight in October 2013, a 5 to 6 foot alligator was spotted prowling the outside of a Walmart in Apopka, Florida for around an hour. The gator managed to make its way to the automatic sliding doors, which repeatedly kept opening and closing. Eventually, the police showed up, who then called fish and wildlife officers, and after some time, the gator left on its own and went to a lake behind the store where it lived. Only in Florida can you say that a prehistoric beast lives behind a Walmart. Elsewhere in Florida, bystanders have also witnessed gators at shopping plazas and public stores. If you like this video so far, be sure to subscribe, like, and click the bell icon for notifications. If you have any gaming myths, mysteries, oddities, or Easter eggs, be sure to let me know. Now back to the show. There are times when alligators don't walk into stores themselves, but are carried into one. In 2018, a man in Jacksonville, Florida went viral for carrying a live alligator into a convenience store. He was trying to buy beer and ended up chasing a customer in the store with the gator in hand.
Hey man, y'all got beer still? Y'all got beer still? Y'all ain't out, are y'all? Is he taking the last bit of the beer? Are you taking the last bit? Come here, bring yours.
This nigga kept the Safeway shopping with the alligator.
It's alive. Go Gators! Go Gators! Yeah, like you said.
I caught that today by the Top Golf.
Hey.
Careful, he gonna open his mouth right now, he get you one.
He'll get you one.
Hey, lay him on the counter and let me take a picture with him.
Lay him on the counter?
The prankster was a 28-year-old man named Timothy Robert Barr, who's also known as Robbie Stratton. His antics got him featured on The Daily Show and Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. So why did Barr carry a gator into a store? He told news reporters that he was drunk and didn't remember the incident at all.
No recollection of that happening at all?
At all. This store sells some good liquor. I drank a lot of it that night.
However, this contradicts what he said in a separate interview, where he seemed to remember that night, saying, quote, "It was all fun and games. I knew everybody in there." He also claimed in one interview that he had no clue where he found the gator, but in another interview, he said that he found the reptile in the back of a truck.
We asked Stratton where the alligator came from.
No clue. No clue. I literally came to the store and he was in the back of the truck.
This claim is also dubious, since there's video of him and his friends messing around with the gator prior to the incident. In the video, Barr can be heard saying that his friend found the creature when he was weed whacking, and that Barr dove on top of it.
Now a new video is emerging, showing Stratton and others taking turns holding the alligator hours before he entered the convenience store.
Later, a black man ended up stepping on the gator's head, and then lifted it up by its neck while chanting. Barr claims he was also drunk at the time, and that he didn't know the black guy. According to animal experts, reptiles can die if they get too stressed out. Barr later added that he thought the gator was dead or fake, but once he realized it was alive, he released it into a creek near the convenience store. After being asked twice if he regrets his gator antics at the store that night, Barr said that he regretted it, and that, quote, "It was stupid." This is before a random lady off camera shouted that he should regret it.
Do you regret what happened?
You should regret it.
She regrets it. They already talked to me.
Barr was later arrested and charged with first-degree misdemeanors of illegal possession of an alligator, illegal exhibition of dangerous wildlife, and cruelty to animals. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 2 days in jail. He was also reportedly required to do 20 hours of community service and donate $100 to wildlife protection. Additionally, the man that stepped on the gator's head was also arrested and charged. Another person that was arrested and charged is Lauren Sullivan, who is better known as the Florida Joker or Miami Joker. In 2017, Sullivan was arrested in Miami for pointing a gun at passing vehicles on a local street. Normally, this wouldn't have been a major news story, except the 29-year-old looked like the Joker, complete with face tattoos and green hair. And just so there's no confusion as to whether or not he was trying to look like the Joker, the word Joker was tattooed on his forehead, along with the Batman symbol. Additionally, he had a Glasgow smile like Heath Ledger's Joker, face tattoos ostensibly inspired by Jared Leto's Joker, and green hair like the Joker portrayed by Jack Nicholson. Regarding the arrest, the Joker wannabe denied he was pointing a gun at anyone, but admitted he had a gun in his pocket, which he voluntarily told responding police officers before they searched him.
Not waving a gun around at vehicles. There's no proof of me waving a gun around at nobody. I had a knife. I did not have a gun on me at that time.
However, he said he didn't have a gun permit since it was too expensive. When Sullivan appeared in court, he denied having an assistant public defender since, quote, "I didn't even feel like signing the paperwork. I'm really not in the mood for that."
I've appointed the public defender's office to represent you. I'm going to be taking a look at your arrest affidavit to see if there's probable cause and address your bond status, sir.
Your Honor, I'm being told that Mr. Sullivan has declined the services of a public
Is
defender.
declining services. Is that correct, sir?
She's talking to you. She's asking if
You don't want the public defender's office to represent you?
I mean, you can represent me, but I'm trying to get bonded out, my honor.
Well, they're there to help you, sir. You don't have a lawyer.
All right.
I mean, okay, so...
I didn't even feel like signing the paperwork. I'm really not in the mood for that.
okay, well,
I'll take
you're in custody.
When he bonded out of jail and was questioned by a reporter for not having a gun permit, Sullivan yelled, "F the permit, we live in America." Sullivan went on to say that he was treated like a celebrity while in jail and that the police officers were good cops. He said they treated him respectfully and that he wasn't rude to them. Sullivan's sister defended her brother, saying that he's just playing a character.
He's a very good-hearted person, you know. He doesn't, you know, look for any problems.
But no one could argue he looks like a problem.
Additionally, Sullivan's mother told reporters that, quote, "He's a good kid, you know, he has a lot of tattoos, but he's a nice kid with some problems. He is mentally disabled and is handicapped." Sullivan, who lived with his mother, later revealed on a podcast that he told his mother to lie about his mental condition to try to get his gun charges dropped.
In an interview, I think it was your mother that was speaking, she said that you were handicapped.
Yeah, I told her to say that so I could try to beat the gun charge case.
So you asked her to lie on the news for you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mentally handicapped. I just can't like read and write that good. That's about it. But everything else I do fine.
After just a few days of his aforementioned arrest, Sullivan was arrested yet again, this time for marijuana possession. According to the arrest report, he attempted to throw the marijuana on the grass as soon as he saw the detectives. He was then arrested twice more in 2018 and 2022 for violating probation and for concealing a weapon. In several interviews while in jail and out of jail, Sullivan addressed his arrest back in 2017. He explained that Instagram trolls pulled up to him in real life and acted like they wanted to fight him. So in response, Sullivan pulled out a knife and waved it. The trolls then called the cops and said that Sullivan had a gun. They knew he carried one since Sullivan frequently showed off his firearms on social media.
Bro, you got all them guns, bro. I'll shoot you in your face. I'm gonna shoot you in your face.
You got all them guns, but you won't shoot, bro.
As for what led up to Sullivan becoming the Florida Joker, he said that he wasn't close with his father, who was a strict old-school Irishman that ultimately disowned Sullivan for getting face tattoos. Sullivan said that he was never bullied, but did bully others since, quote, "It was just fun." After dropping out of 8th grade, Sullivan started doing drugs like cocaine, crack, and Xanax. At some point, he reportedly was a sign spinner for a local massage parlor. In 2014, things spiraled downward when Sullivan's best friend was shot to death over a drug deal gone wrong. This caused Sullivan to get his first face tattoos, which were a teardrop and cross. Sullivan would later get engaged to a woman in Miami, but he found out she was cheating on him, and so he took her purse that had drugs in it, which prompted her to attack him with a machete. Sullivan's fiancée also secretly had an abortion, even though Sullivan wanted a child. The straw that broke the camel's back was when another woman that Sullivan was dating ended up using him, and so that's when he, quote, "lost my mind and just started putting more tattoos on my face." The tattoos reportedly cost between $3,000 to $5,000, and Sullivan said that he knew what he was doing. Despite the consequences, Sullivan got the tattoos anyway to symbolize his transformation as a new person. He said that the old Lawrence was dead since he was too caring and got taken advantage of. The Joker was an inspiration for the tattoos, since not only was Sullivan a fan of Batman's nemesis, but the fictional character was dark and went through what Sullivan went through. However, Sullivan said that once he learned to forgive his ex, he's now, quote, "a humble, respectful guy," and that, quote, "I'm not here to be in trouble." He went on to say that he wasn't a bad guy underneath the mask, but warned, quote, "the base is in there that can snap at any given second," and that, quote, "if you cross me, that's gonna be the last thing you wanna do is cross me, but you're gonna feel the pain that I felt my whole life." Sullivan expressed that while he wants to be seen as a villain, he also wants to be a villain who gives back to people in need, like the homeless, or people who are going through what he's going through. Sullivan opened up about how he has battled depression, alcoholism, and thoughts of suicide. In one video, he can be seen breaking down in tears.
I'll cry on this shit. I don't give a f, bro. Screen record this all you want. I don't give a f. Y'all think I'm happy? I've never been happy. Haven't been happy since 2014. Since my brother died, bro. I'm tired of faking this shit. Y'all niggas swear you know me. You don't know shit about me. You don't know what the f I struggle with every day. What I've been through, bro. You don't think I want to smoke myself every day, but I don't. That's the easy way out.
To get by, Sullivan says that he makes some money off of social media. In some of his clips, he can be seen waving guns around while cursing and saying the N-word.
You already know what time it is, dog. It's your boy Joker 305. Dade County in this bitch. F MGK. F Slim Jesus. F Batman. F Automated. Run now. Go.
And here's a strange video of him in an orange jumpsuit wearing boxing gloves. Sullivan reportedly trained in boxing when he was younger and previously fought another influencer in a boxing match. Sullivan has also made music videos.
You put my address on public records, you put my address on, sending that shit to everyone. You scared to pull up and do the job, you damn motherfucking self. Hey girl, you broke my heart, you stupid bitch!
No, we gotta redo that one, no.
No, shut the f up.
No,
And is friends with the Island Boys.
Just living life, bro, now making my comeback.
Island boy, I'm just trying to be amazing.
At least at one point.
You pussy ass motherfucker.
Man, shut your stupid ass up, you green ass weirdo.
What you gonna do?
What
you gonna do?
You're Irish and Peruvian. You're ugly. No, duele maricón, fam.
Sullivan also seemed to have beef with Aaron Carter.
If your persona is a joke, the Joker, wow, real cool legacy. Oh yeah, remember that guy? He was the Joker, the fake wannabe Joker. I couldn't get a concealed weapon because I couldn't afford it. Lawrence, that's who we're talking about. Yeah, the guy that points guns at people and then tells the cops when he gets in trouble. I can't afford it. It's a concealed weapon permit. You can't even afford a toilet in your backyard. When we send you a toilet, I'm gonna send you a toilet to your house, bro. So at least you can feel like you're correctly.
And an influencer named Boonk, who was arrested for stealing donuts from Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm the savage, remember that! I take the risk. I'm the savage! They ain't even know I was coming. I just take the whole donut!
John Hill, apparently known on social media for his stunts, ended up in jail. He was charged with burglary and petty theft. Ultimately, he did give it back, Judge. A court judge referred him to a court program with an alternate bond of $1,500.
They can try and help you find a job.
He pled not guilty, and the judge sentenced him to 60 days of probation.
As for any future plans, Sullivan said that he wants to be a tattoo model and be known as the Florida Joker. He wants to do movies, and says that he can act like the Joker, but needs to go to acting school.
It's not about the money, it's about sending the message.
Sullivan also said that he filmed a documentary about his life.
Right now, bitches don't really want to be with me.
At some point, Sullivan ended up getting more tattoos on his face, and even on his neck, which depicts a knife slit with blood dripping down. Ever since GTA 6's trailer, Sullivan has gained more notoriety. And in a TikTok video, Sullivan posited that Rockstar took inspiration from him to create this character. He coyly concluded, "GTA, we gotta talk."
You might have seen that character on GTA 6, just dropped the trailer today. You know they got that character with the face tattoos. You know who they got that inspired by? By me. Just look me up, Florida Joker, Miami Joker. You know what I'm talking about. GTA, we gotta talk.
A couple of days later, Sullivan posted another TikTok video where he was more upset this time around. He accused Rockstar of stealing his likeness and that he wants $1 or $2 million.
For everybody saying that I'm hallucinating, that I'm not the Joker from GTA 6, chill out your goddamn nuggets. That's me. That's the person that got the inspiration from. You see that? That's me. That's me. That's me. GTA, we gotta talk, GTA. We gotta talk. Or not, you gotta give me like a meal or two. So what's up? Holla at me, GTA, Rockstar Entertainment, Rockstar Games, Rockstar Enterprise. Florida Joke ain't having that. Y'all took my likeness. Y'all took my life. GTA, I'm giving you the biggest free marketing you got entire history of running this GTA game. For that, I want an extra $1 million. You got 3 days before my lawyers go crazy on this case. Rockstar Enterprise, we gotta talk. It's been 3 days. I contact my Jewish lawyer. Just got off the phone with him. Them 3 days are up. I already talked to my Jewish lawyer. He's coming to my house as we speak, and we're building the biggest case on you. So if you don't contact me within the next 48 hours, we're taking legal actions. We're not playing with you. I gave you so much publicity. Millions and millions of people are seeing you. I'm getting harassed. You're the GTA 6 Joker. I'm not getting paid for this. I want my pain and suffering money now. Now, GTA. It's been mad days. This is the final warning. I just came back from Miami. We send you a letter. We are waiting for a response. If we don't get a response by after my birthday, which is January 11th, we're going to take legal actions. I want $5 million now. $5 million. I'm getting harassed everywhere I go. The airport, the streets. You that GTA Joker. You that GTA Joker. Can't even eat a goddamn pizza while somebody asking, can I have a picture of Mr. GTA Joker? No, you can't have a picture. I'm eating. My birthday is January 11th. If you do not contact me 3 days after my birthday, I want $10 million. $10 million for my suffering pain. Definition of a character. I'm really not trying to sue y'all, so I'm gonna give y'all an extra month. Hit me up. Let me voice the character. Let me voice the character. Give me more storyline in the game, and give me a few mil. Give me a royalty deal off of it. Let's make history happen, man. And I ain't trying to do all this lawsuit lawyers.
Are you really gonna sue Rockstar Games?
I mean,
have you talked to a lawyer?
I'm not an idiot. I probably won't win it, but I will be taking some type of legal action if I ever have to.
Submitted an email.
An email?
Yeah.
But you haven't talked to a lawyer about it?
Not yet. I'm not suing y'all no more. I'm not suing y'all. It's been 2 whole months. Y'all still haven't reached out to me. Still haven't DM'd me. Let's do what's right. Show me like $50,000, $100,000. Let me voice the character. Let me go to the meet and greets. Let me go when the game's released, sign, take pictures with fans.
If Sullivan did sue Rockstar, the case could be dismissed, just like with Lindsay Lohan's lawsuit, which accused Take-Two of using her likeness in GTA 5. That case was ultimately dismissed, since the character in question looked generic enough. In Sullivan's case, his look-alike character may be considered different, or generic enough as well. Before there was a female Thor, there was LA Susan, and she wielded not one hammer, but 2.
Get the f out of this neighborhood.
Well, look who's back.
In 2020 in Chatsworth, Los Angeles, a white woman started smashing a neighbor's car with hammers. Even though this didn't take place in Florida, you could easily mistake this for being in Florida. The dual-wielding hammer lady, who's called Becky in the video, apparently got upset that her neighbors, who were non-Caucasian, parked their car too close to her car, even though it was on a public street. In the video, Becky tells the victims to get the f out of this neighborhood and to go back to Mexico.
Get the f out of this neighborhood. You f***ing shit.
Because my neighbor has 2 fucking hammers in her damn hand and she's assaulting the car.
The man who owns the vandalized car, Eddie Perez, said that he was in Miami for work and wasn't even home at the time. However, Perez's sister and his roommate Natalie Mason were both home at the time and said they suddenly heard loud banging coming from outside.
And I got you on video that you're destroying my car.
Mason said that at first, she thought it was an angry ex-girlfriend, but it turned out to be their next-door neighbor, who had made racial insults to them in the past. Perez said that they normally just ignored her, and that he and his roommates moved next door to her the year prior.
You got a problem, bitch!
Meanwhile, the black lady seen grabbing Becky's hair was Perez's other neighbor who intervened, since she was ostensibly tired of Becky's antics.
You got a problem, bitch! Is there a problem, motherfucker? You put your motherfucker on me again, bitch! Tell me to go the back somewhere, bitch! Tell me! So you f***ed up your car, bitch, and you think that shit is cute, bitch, but it ain't, Becky, motherfucking racist, bitch! You racist motherfucker! I'm sick of you, bitch! I'm sick of you, bitch! You understand me, bitch? Do you understand me, bitch?
Eventually, the police came and arrested Becky for felony vandalism, but was released from jail the next day due to COVID-19 rules. As for Perez's car, he learned that his car insurance didn't cover vandalism, so he created a GoFundMe page to help cover repair costs and lawyer fees. The GoFundMe ended up raking in over $13,000, exceeding the $10,000 goal. It wouldn't be surprising if the Hammer Lady in the trailer was based on Becky. In fact, when the Hammer Lady says, "Well, look who's back," it actually fits perfectly with what Becky says.
Get the f out of this neighborhood.
Well, look who's back.
Every year during the Martin Luther King weekend, hundreds to thousands of Floridians can be observed in their natural habitat. These riders are part of a group called Wheels Up, Guns Down, which loosely celebrates Martin Luther King Jr. and his message for peace. Ironically though, the group tends to disrupt the peace by flooding roads, streets, and highways with off-road vehicles that aren't street legal. For years they've run rampant all across Florida, including Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, and even Liberty City, which is a real place in Florida where a fight broke out once the Wheels Up, Guns Down group arrived. The chaos has caused traffic jams and highways to be shut down, as reckless riders often went over the speed limit, drove on sidewalks, ran through red lights, drove into oncoming traffic, noisily sped through residential streets, and performed dangerous tricks like wheelies. Unsurprisingly, there have been numerous accidents and injuries over the years. One rider actually crashed into a pickup truck, but when the cops arrived, the person was caught on camera fleeing the scene.
And this truck crashed into one another. I asked the man riding the dirt bike about their dangerous ride.
Sir, what happened here? You guys have been running through traffic lights, and now there's a crash.
When police arrived, the man took off.
Then there was one ATV rider that attempted to run over a deputy who got dragged 10 feet. Meanwhile, some riders have actually crashed and died, and one man was even shot and killed. The Wheels Up, Guns Down group was involved, ironically enough. In recent years, after police stepped up their law enforcement of the group, dozens of riders have been arrested, and numerous vehicles, firearms, and drugs like cocaine were seized. Some of the group's participants have also exhibited aggressive behavior as they were seen kicking vehicles. One group of bikers even assaulted a pregnant woman and her husband after a fender bender. These mobs are not just Floridians, but visitors from other states as well. When the Wheels Up, Guns Down event first started circa 2014, police were caught off guard and were unprepared for the chaos. When they did catch violators and pull them over, the offenders would just flee on their off-road vehicles and split up. Recently, the police have been more vigilant, but officers aren't actually allowed to chase motorists since it could endanger more lives. One rider asserted, "They can't stop us, there's too many of us."
On one hand, we're gonna step in our seats, we're gonna run every light there is to run.
At the same time, another rider named Mark Kell acknowledged, Yeah, it's a little disruptful to the normal traffic, but we're just trying to have some fun and let them know it's a movement. Bikes up, guns down, no violence at all.
We're a good group of people. You know what I mean? We for the community, we for the culture, and bikes bring bonds. Bikes up! Yeah. We use bikes as a tool to bond the community. We got people from New York, Georgia, all over different states just to bond on MLK weekend. We want to come up with a better, safe, and efficient ride out.
Meanwhile, another rider said that their group, which he said included 30 to 50-year-olds, weren't doing dangerous tricks like wheelies like the other groups. They were just there to ride.
They just celebrate. You know, we don't mean no harm, don't mean to cause no pressure, but we just out here celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. Those that have no respect for what we have fought for all these years.
It's just all about love out here. It's all about courage and love and just showing off and having fun. Instead of being on the streets and drugs and gangs, we're not all about that.
Reckless riders have also been taking over streets and doing car donuts. One of the more famous cases was in December 2020 when cars took turns doing donuts in the middle of a busy intersection in Miami at around midnight. This 11-minute video shows cars and spectators blocking traffic. Some of the spectators were even seen standing in the middle of the intersection as cars did donuts around them. Not only that, but one person was hanging out of a car window. The screeching was so loud that it caught the attention of neighbors living in residential buildings. One person actually thought it was a terrorist attack. Eventually, the police arrived, and that's when the donut drivers and spectators fled the scene. At one point, a fistfight broke out, and according to eyewitnesses, the whole car show lasted 30 minutes without police intervention. Police only allegedly arrived near the end of the show, but the Miami Beach police claimed that they were able to arrive at the scene within 8 minutes of receiving a call. At the same time, the police did acknowledge that there was a delay, and that the reason was because police were busy chasing armed suspects in a different area. Ultimately, over a dozen arrests were made, and the police believed that these drivers were part of a car club that arranged these illicit events. In recent years, some of these events have gotten more over the top as they involve setting off fireworks and lighting the street on fire. One driver even did donuts around a fire truck that was responding to an emergency. Some people have gotten injured, and one female was even reportedly decapitated. Footage of this was shown to the Senate Transportation Committee in 2022 by Florida Senator Jason Pizzo, who introduced a bill to make street takeovers illegal. In regards to the footage, Pizzo said, "That's a mother of 4 who was decapitated. They were leaning outside the car, and these cars go astray." Street takeovers are now illegal in Florida, and police can now arrest suspects more easily. Previously, an officer had to witness a misdemeanor firsthand to make an arrest without a warrant, but now police are able to make arrests just by looking at social media posts. Even just being a spectator can get you in trouble. Participating in a street takeover is now a first-degree misdemeanor, in which offenders can face $500 to $1,000 fines and up to a year in jail. In 2018, neighborhood residents in Stuart, Florida were unsettled by something on the loose, and it wasn't an animal. It was one of their neighbors, and he was naked and not afraid. The man had a penchant for being nude while doing yard work. He would mow the lawn, wash his car, repair his roof, and water his plants, all while completely nude, and neighbors said it's been going on for years.
I look over and he's bent over, winding up his hose, and like, that's my view of my neighborhood.
What's more, the school bus stop was right across the street from the nudist's house. A mother said that her 16-year-old daughter had actually seen the man naked several times. Neighbors had called the Martin County Sheriff's Office, but were told that they couldn't do anything since the nudist was on his property. As long as he didn't cross his property line and wasn't touching himself, he had the right to bear it all. One neighbor even said that he saw the man talking to a police officer on his front doorstep, completely naked. After deputies and attorneys looked deeper into the case, the sheriff's office said that based on precedents set by previous court rulings, they believed that they could charge and arrest the new neighbor if he continued exposing himself, saying, quote, "Two different statutes have been met with that behavior, one being lewd and lascivious behavior, the other being breach of the peace." Some neighbors, though, had no problem with the nude man and actually defended him, saying that he was a nice guy and that he had a right to do whatever he wanted on his own property.
I'm not one of those people that have concerns just because it's their way of life and it's on their property and I know it's legal.
Amy Canterbury, who's a mother of 6, said that the man does have clothes on when he's not on his property. She even saw him wearing clothes at neighborhood birthday parties since, quote, "They have that much respect."
Literally, they're the nicest people you ever meet, and they would give you their clothes if they had them on to give it to you.
Ironically, the man declined doing any interviews on camera since he said that he and his family are, quote, "private people."
If they're private, you know, why are your privates on display? I mean, that's not private at all. That's very public.
Neighbors said that they would try to talk to the man and see if they could reach a compromise. Perhaps he could wear a thong to cover up, like the man in the GTA 6 trailer.
We learned from the sheriff's office they actually talked to the man earlier today. He says he's deeply apologetic and doesn't plan to work outside naked ever again. But the sheriff's office says now if this does happen, they will arrest him.
While the new neighbor had the decency to at least stay on his own property, the same can't be said for this man who was caught naked running from the police on a busy road.
You guys running naked. Holy!
This incident occurred at around 8 a.m. on October 22, 2022, when Holton Regional Police Services received reports of an assault and stabbing. When the responding officers identified a male suspect and were going to arrest him, the suspect took off all of his clothes and started running. It's unknown why he went nude, perhaps to be more aerodynamic, but it doesn't look like that did much since the streaker was caught.
Holy.
Surprisingly though, before getting arrested, he was somehow able to briefly slip away after getting tackled by an officer.
Holy! Oh my god! What is that guy's problem?
The police said that the nudist wasn't seriously injured and that he was treated by emergency medical services. The person that filmed the event was Lola McKinnon, whose father was driving her to school in Oakville, Canada. While this bizarre incident did not occur in Florida, it certainly gave off Florida Man vibes, as seen in GTA 6's trailer. Florida Man is a meme that was popularized in 2013 due to weird news stories about men in Florida.
James grabbed a roughly 3.5-foot alligator on the side of the road, picked it up, got it in his truck, brought it to this Wendy's behind us, and just hurled it through that drive-through window.
News article headlines usually include the phrase Florida Man, followed by some bizarre act or crime that was committed. For instance, there's Florida Man caught after attempting to outrun police on lawnmower. Florida Man arrested for pooping on dead possum during rush hour traffic. Florida Man arrested for torching car belonging to his cousin, who's also his girlfriend. And Florida Man drives stolen truck to Space Force base to warn of battle between aliens and dragons. It's not just Florida men that are doing these kinds of things, however. There's also Florida women. Florida woman smeared dog poop in face of 76-year-old neighbor during fight. Florida woman stabs boyfriend's eye with rabies needle because he was looking at other women, and Florida woman caught with meth and Valium begs cops not to take her sex toy during drug bust. It seems like Florida is the perfect setting for GTA 6, but why is Florida so weird to begin with? Florida has a long history and reputation of being a wild, untamed wilderness that's been beset by hurricanes, pirates, runaway slaves, and tribal conflicts. In the early days of the New World, Florida was owned by Spain and Britain, and as early as the 16th century, Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon allegedly searched for the Fountain of Youth in Florida after Native Americans told him about it. After the US acquired Florida in 1819, myths and legends continued to spread about Florida, such as how it had springs that could cure diseases. At some point, Florida ended up advertising their state as a wild frontier that was unsullied by humans. This in part resulted in Florida getting an influx of new settlers and revenue, which prompted competing states to disseminate anti-Florida propaganda, such as how Florida's water was unsafe to drink, and that there were deadly alligators roaming around. A New York newspaper in 1883 even reportedly joked that the phrase, "A Florida man has an alligator farm," should instead be rephrased as, "A farm of alligators has a Florida man." Over time, people would share wild stories about Florida. In 1883, for instance, a man from Gainesville, Florida, accidentally shot his wife 3 times after she told him that she couldn't be with him. Then there was another time in 1895 when a knife fight broke out after someone cut the line in a butcher shop in Tallahassee, Florida. Fast forward to 1972, news of the Watergate scandal breaks.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
In the wake of what happened, many states made their government records open to the public. Florida, however, took things a step further and allowed documents like arrest records to be immediately available after they occurred. As such, the news media and general public were able to get their hands on a treasure trove of odd news stories as soon as they happened. This, combined with the Florida memes, jokes, and crazy headlines, resulted in Florida being the ugly redheaded stepchild of America. While Florida is the butt of jokes, the weird and funny news stories also highlight issues of homelessness, drug addicts, and mental illness. But this isn't exclusive to Florida. Other states have these issues as well, but the reason Florida is singled out may be due to its transparent public record system. If you request an arrest report in a non-Florida state, for example, you may be denied the report or it may get delayed. Other times, you may receive the report but not receive other evidence to be able to accurately report on the story. Ever since GTA 6's trailer, people have been watching old videos of weird news stories about Florida. In the comment section of the videos, the word GTA 6 can often be seen. There are also plenty of comments that point out how GTA is no longer parroting real life, but real life is now parroting GTA.